农商好像做 Good morning. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, Chairperson.
Morning, Chairperson.
Morning, Chair.
It's 9.
Good morning, Chair.
Morning. It's 9:31, honorable members. I think let's start with our meeting. I had just something that I needed to attend to this morning. That's why I'm starting now. Apologies for that. Members, let me welcome everyone in the meeting. I'm welcoming you, honorable members, also stating that this coming Friday, we will be commemorating World Population Day to highlight critical issues that affect the global population. The day encourages everyone to consider how population trends impact economic development, environmental sustainability, and quality of life. As a country, we are faced with a growing population of youth who are confronted with economic uncertainty, health challenges, unemployment, limited livelihood opportunities, rural-urban migration, and climate change. As public representatives, let us reflect on how we can, through our legislative and oversight responsibility, shape their future towards a just, inclusive, and sustainable one. The pressing challenges such as climate change and resource scarcity are not only affecting humans, but also the biodiversity and operations of our entities. While financial resources are increasingly limited in government, it calls upon us to intensify our oversight work to ensure maximum value for money. Before us, the SANBI, iSimangaliso, and SAFCOL are accounting for their use of resources against set targets in the 2024-2025 financial year. Although we are considering the performance during the second half of the financial year, we note that targets are cumulative and should be achieved at the end of the fourth quarter. While audits are ongoing, we already have a picture of how they performed. At the same time, we want to track the progress of implementing audit action plans against 2023-2024 audit findings, particularly in eliminating repeat findings and moving towards a clean audit. Both expenditure and revenue are important for understanding and cost effectiveness and efficiency of programs. Equally important, members, is the non-financial information, which enables us to assess the actual progress towards desired outcomes and impacts within each entity's sector. The benchmark of performance against targets is 80%. We are equally interested in the impact on the ground and outcomes and the strong financial health of the institutions. With those few words, honorable members, I welcome all of you in today's briefing. And I would like to also do a special welcome, honorable members, to our researcher. We have our researcher finally, Ms. Dumake, and also we have a new member, honorable members, Honorable Kate Bilankulu, who is replacing Honorable Nalumango. So one of the members will have to be released and be replaced by who I know that we are 5, we are supposed to be 4, but that one is going to be dealt with the respective political party. So we also have now a new member, Honorable Kate Bilangul, who has joined the family of the FFP. Chi, can you then fly to the agenda? Can you move it up? Okay. Can I check if there's any apologies?
Good
Chi, do
morning,
you have any
Chair. Good
apologies?
morning, members and everyone. Yes, Chair, we do have apologies. The Minister, Honorable George, Deputy Minister Singh, and DG Shabalala. They are briefing the Select Committee, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, so today we have DM Swartz, who
Oh,
will be
yes,
leading.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
We'll be leading the
Okay, welcome,
delegation.
welcome DM Swartz. So sorry, I did not even have a chance to look at the attendees, list of attendees. Chi, can you also go through the list of attendees from the department?
Okay, Chair. Okay, Chair, from the department, the delegation is led by Deputy Minister, Honorable Swartz, and then we have the Chief Director for Protected Area Systems Management, Mr. S. Ngosi, Director Forestry, Ms. K. Mavena, Director Forestry, Mr. A. Sidat, and then Public Entity Support and Performance, we have Ms. Mpolekeng, Office of the Deputy Minister Swartz, Mr. S. Nganunu, Parliamentary Support Office of the Director General, Ms. P. Dingiswayo. From iSimangaliso Chair, we have the Board Chairperson, Inkosi M. Tembe. We have the Acting CEO, Ms. K. Tembe. And then we have the Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Q. Ndambo. Then from SAFCOL Chair, we have the Board Chairperson, Prof. Edward. And then we have the Acting CEO, Mr. S. Lamini, Acting Financial Officer, Mr. J. Maruma, Company Secretary, Ms. L. Litwalo. Then from Sanbi Chair, the Deputy Chairperson, Ms. Beryl Ferguson, will represent Sanbi. And then CEO, Mr. Shonisani, Chief Financial Officer, M. Sedite, Chief Operations Officer, E. Mashile, Head Biodiversity Science and Policy Advice, Dr. T. France, and Director Strategy Coordination and Oversight, Mr. Gutu. That's the delegation, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chi. Okay, honorable members and colleagues, that is the agenda in front of us. Can I then get a mover for the adoption of the agenda? I see the hand of Honorable Chabane, followed by Honorable Managa.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning. I raised my hand before because I wanted to correct the gadget. The one that you see as Honorable Chavani, it's Honorable Bilangulu. I wrote even the message to say if the ITs, they can assist in renaming my gadget. Thank you very much, but I move for the adoption of the agenda. Thank you, Chair.
Can you switch on your video, Honorable Bilangulu, so that members can see you? Yebo, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Bilangulu. Okay. If it's possible, or can we just ask the IT to change Honorable Kate Bilangulu's gadget, because now it says Honorable Shaban. Honorable Managa?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and let me greet everyone who is in the meeting. I raised my hand. Did she move for the adoption or no?
Yes, yes, she moved
Okay.
for the adoption. You are going
Okay.
to second.
Okay, I'm seconding the mover of the adoption. Sorry, Chair. Honorable Bilankulu, is she replacing Nolumango or is she replacing the member that was released a few weeks ago? Maybe I'm a bit confused.
No, we will talk about that on
Oh yes,
WhatsApp.
I've seconded the minutes. I've seconded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mkaya.
Thank you, Honorable Manaka. TM, before I give over to Sanbi, can we get an overview from you and welcome?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Members and Deputy Minister sitting in absentia, Honorable Members of the Portfolio Committee, Director General of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment in absentia, and chairpersons and board members, representatives and CEOs of our entities. We also welcome Honorable Bilankulu to the Portfolio Committee, and we also welcome the new researcher that has been assigned to this Portfolio Committee. We are here to present the 2024-25 third and fourth quarter performance report for the South African Forestry Company, SOC Limited, South African National Biodiversity Institute, and iSimangaliso Wetland Park. SAFCOL has grown a strong commitment to the stakeholders' compact and to its core principles of maximizing revenue and minimizing costs, despite facing financial challenges during the 2024-25 fiscal year. Careful management of expenses and prioritization of essentials expenditures led to a profit of 12.7 million. This outcomes reflects prudence and resilience in difficult times. These efforts highlight SAFCOL's unwavering determination to maintain financial sustainability and fulfill its mandate. SANBI, as a key national asset, is entrusted with the vital mandate of promoting biodiversity research, conservation policy formulation, and capacity development. To fulfill this mandate, SANBI pursues a comprehensive multi-strategy approach, which includes prioritizing key outputs such as human capital development, conservation, marketing, and financial sustainability. In the third quarter of 2024-25, SANBI achieved a 76% target, which is 16 out of 21 targets met, while the fourth quarter saw a significant improvement in the performance with 19 out of 21 targets met, representing a 90% achievement rate. iSimangaliso Wetlands Park, honorable members, during quarter 3, iSimangaliso achieved an overall performance score of 92%. Out of 24 quarterly targets, 22 were fully met, while 2 targets were not fully achieved. This represents a notable increase of 9% compared to quarter 2, where the entity achieved 83% of its organizational performance. Significant improvements were recorded in the following output indicators: Groen Sebenza, intern employment, increased number of paying customers, revenue to the park generated, implementation of unauthorized land encroachment strategy, and training interventions implemented in line with the workplace skills plan. During quarter 4, iSimangaliso achieved 100%, 26 of 26 quarterly targets achieved. Organizational performance. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Portfolio Committee for the chance to contribute, and I hereby hand the reins back to the chairperson to guide the discussion on the reporting sequence of entities. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable DM. Just going back to my agenda. T, do you mind fetching the agenda again? Oh, I've got it. Okay. I am now going to hand over to the board chairperson of SANBI. Please be brief. Chair, just do a brief overview. Then I'll hand over to the CEO of SANBI after that. Chairperson of SANBI.
Good morning to you, Chairperson, Honourable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. It's Beryl Ferguson. I'm the Deputy Chairperson of the SANBI Board. I welcome Deputy Minister Bernie Swartz and in absentia Minister Dion George and Deputy Minister Nadan Singh, our chairpersons, board chairpersons, CEOs, the DFFE entities, and the DG of the department. Chairperson, I am pleased to be leading the SANBI delegation for today's Portfolio Committee. I am in place, as you well know, of our chairperson, Prof. Nesamvuni. We will briefly brief the committee on the performance of the institution in the third and fourth quarters of the 24-25 financial year. In the third quarter, SANBI achieved 76%, 16 of the 21 targets, whilst in the fourth quarter, as previously mentioned, we achieved 90%. So we achieved 19 out of the 21 performances against our APP commitments. The board of SANBI, Honourable Chairperson, which I represent here today, continues to provide oversight and guidance to the management team in line with the relevant legal prescriptions governing the role and conduct of boards. SANBI continues to work hard, innovatively and collaboratively to deliver on its mandate. Chairperson and honourable members, there are many achievements. However, there are also a few areas that present challenges, and these will be presented to us in detail by our management team led by our CEO. I would, however, like to highlight the following to the committee for noting. Our external audit improvement plan for 23-24, as reported previously, following the conclusion of the external audit process, management developed an external audit improvement plan, which was approved by the board. This plan sought to improve the external audit outcome by addressing all the findings emanating from 23-24 external audit process. The plan has been monitored through our Audit and Risk Committee quarterly to ensure that all the findings are fully resolved by the end of March 2025. That was not an easy task. I am pleased to inform the committee that as of the end of the fourth quarter, 31st March 2025, 93% of the findings were fully resolved, an improvement from 71% in the third quarter. Progress on the 3 remaining audit improvement actions continues to be monitored, and they are in the process of being fully resolved. The financial position, SANBI is in a good financial position. The institute is solvent with total assets exceeding total liabilities and liquid with current assets exceeding current liabilities. Management continues to implement SANBI's financial sustainability strategy for 23-24. Up to 2031-32. The strategy aims at maximizing SANBI's income generating potential through exploring identified opportunities and pursuing strategic partnerships and other innovations. The implementation of the 24-25 implementation plan with targets for different interventions commenced during the first quarter to achieve the outcomes of the strategy. Amongst other initiatives being implemented was the launch of the new SANBI membership card, which commenced at the beginning of 24-25 financial year. Management engaged in a comprehensive marketing campaign, including advertising, exhibitions, and garden-based promotions. In addition, SANBI celebrated National Gardens Week with a free access to South Africa's National Botanical and Zoological Gardens from the 10th to the 16th of March 2025, and which saw the highest number of visitors in the 125-year history of the zoo. The board is monitoring the progress seen in the organization as it continues to return to previous revenue levels, while also diversifying its revenue sources. Our National Botanical Gardens continue to fulfill their roles in conservation, research, recreation, ecotourism, and education. These gardens exist in all provinces except Northwest Province, where processes are at an advanced stage towards the establishment of a national botanical garden in line with the National Botanical Garden Expansion Strategy. We hope to have the operationalization of such within the current period of the medium-term development plan, and this will be complemented by the full operationalization of the 2 new gardens in Limpopo and Eastern Cape Province. The implementation of the expansion strategy extends to numerous gardens where opportunities for such has been identified. Management continue to implement the improved repositioning strategy of the National Zoological Garden together with the 2024-25 implementation plan, which aimed at enhancing the role of the NZG in conservation, environmental education, research, and ecotourism. This strategy saw some improvements in the implementation of the Targeted Infrastructure Improvement Program during the reporting period. The public-private partnership project will provide a significant shift in the outlook of the NZG future that we are pursuing. In terms of our human capital development and transformation, biodiversity human capital development strategy, SANBI continues to play an important leadership role within the biodiversity human capital development strategy for the sector. The Groen Sebenza 2 program, by the end of the Groen Sebenza Graduate Skills Development Program, which was February 2025, over 1,200 young graduates were trained or mentored with more than 70 partners involved across the country. Over 340 interns found full-term employment, and tracking and tracing is continuing beyond the end of this program. The board acknowledged the positive impact the Groen Sebenza had on unemployed youth graduates and directed management to explore alternative funding or means and resources to continue implementing the Groen Sebenza 3 program, albeit at a lower scale. SANBI continues to fulfill its primary decision support mandate by providing scientific and policy advice on several critical areas, including, amongst others, international trade in listed species, state of biodiversity in the country, impact of alien invasives, as well as protection of the species and ecosystems. SANBI continues to participate in processes led by the department in the review of policies, legislation, and practices in biodiversity and conservation aimed at fostering sustainable development while taking into consideration social and economic imperatives. SANBI continues to support the department in the implementation of the National Biodiversity Economy Strategy by providing technical and scientific input. SANBI continues to play its supporting and leading roles together with DFFE in several multilateral environmental agreements that are aimed at addressing key global crises of biodiversity loss, climate change, and land degradation. Honorable Chairperson, I beg your indulgence to excuse SANBI, the SANBI team, after our presentations and responses with that. Chair, I will then hand over to our CEO and the team to take the portfolio committee through the details of our presentation. Chair, I thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Before I hand over to Mr. Munzetsi, just want to indicate to him that we should cover this presentation within 30 minutes, and also he should just focus on the key areas because we've already taken his 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chair.
Over to you, Mr. Munzetsi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, honorable members, Deputy Minister, and also chairs of the other boards and SANBI as well, and fellow managers from different entities that are represented here. I'm going to go through and follow as the chair guided. I'll start from slide 8, which is going to provide where we were in Q3. In Q3, we were on performance of 76%. 16 of the 21 targets that we had set to achieve were achieved. 5 were not achieved, representing 24%. Let's move on to the next slide. On a pie chart, it's reflected as such on slide number 9. And then I will then move to those areas that were not achieved, which is slide number 10. Slide number 10 shows the 5 areas that we have not achieved at that time during Q3. The first area that was not achieved was in line with the strategy that we have, which is the SANBI Green Energy and Water Conservation Strategy. We had 4 projects there that we needed to implement. 2 of them were delayed at that time because the contracts could not be concluded. We had to rerun that advertisement for reasons associated with the standard requirements not met with the first batch that we had to look at, and we went back to the market for that reason. And that's why there was a delay at the time. But of course, at the end of Q4, that was already done and covered appropriately. The second area that was not achieved had to do with the visitor numbers, which is a big measure. Looking at all the NBGs or botanical gardens that we have, National Botanical Gardens and Zoological Gardens, in that case, we managed to meet the Q3 target on its own. In actual fact, because the target was 15,800, we did 431,181 at the time, but we had it reflected as red because we're also looking at the cumulative target. Because of the delays in Q1 and Q2, the pickup in terms of numbers was a bit lower. In that case, then we marked it as red on the basis that we were short of meeting the cumulative target of where we were supposed to be by the end of Q3. But we worked hard on that as well. As you can see, the numbers that we'll be reflecting on in Q4 will show a different picture. When it comes to the third one, the program on infrastructure development at the National Zoological Gardens, as part of the 3 deliverables that we had on one project, Stormy Bay was one of the 3 deliverables in that space. It was off target due to delays in the contractual and related matters, which we, in terms of performance, we dealt with that in the normal standard procedures that we follow, including but not limited to even penalties to that effect. But the report at the end showed that helped a lot in terms of concluding on this deliverable as well as per the target that was set. Then we move on to the next one, which is the fourth one. It's got to do with the own income generated, because we generate income through the facilities that we have. We were off target on that also due to some a few delays that we had throughout the process. And then we also at the end, the cumulative number was not where we were supposed to be. It's a function of a number of issues that I will reflect when I talk to Q4. The issue of male staff appointed, the target was set to be 49%. At the end of Q3, we had some few turnovers that affected the numbers. 1 or 2 in this case is very significant in the process. But at the end of the year, the financial year, we had worked hard to attend to this to come to a conclusion of a 50-50. I will skip the slides that will talk to finance. The CFO will come back to that a bit later. And then I'll run to Q4, which is on slide 40, up to slide 42. At the end of the financial year, we had achieved 90% of our set targets for the year. 19 of the 21 targets were achieved, and 10%, which represents 2 of 21 targets, were delayed. If we go to slide 41, it shows that on a pie chart, and then we go to slide 42, that shows those 2 areas that we did not achieve. The first one has to do, or had to do, with the own income generated. We had a set target that we needed to achieve 195 million from own income generated through our facilities. We managed to realize 180.8 million, which was short of the 195 million. A number of factors were observed. We did an analysis of that. It was an unusual year, a La Nina year, as much as we appreciate more and more rains, but they do have implications. There were weekends that would follow each other with rains, and visitors don't come during those periods. And that had implications also in terms of what we were able to realize at the time. The second issue was the resource mobilization space. Every year we raise over 100 million, or we target over 100 million that we need to raise through third parties outside the fiscus, in this case, or outside DFFE, outside National Treasury through DFFE in that form. In that case, project-related funding from other partners, we only realized 95.3 million, short of the 105 that we needed to achieve. Of course, if you look at after the fourth quarter coming into the new year, and also recently, we have done a lot, and that work was started within the financial year in question that we're talking about. There are certain aspects of approval processes, depending on the funders, that sometimes are beyond our control, but we still want to keep this because it's important for the projects and other areas that need to be funded beyond what we receive from the fiscus. That's the performance, 90%, 2 not achieved, and then the rest, 19 of 21 achieved. I will then hand over to the CFO to take us through the other areas of finances for Q3 and Q4, in particular Q4. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Member.
Thank you, CE. Over to you, CFO. You have 11 minutes.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to all the honourable members. Good morning as well to the Deputy Minister and all the chairs, as well as the colleagues that are in the call. Thank you, Chair. Mine is to take you through the quarter 3 and quarter 4. We will start with the quarter 3. You would note, Chair, that in quarter 3, in terms of our total income, we did well. The main driver here is that we managed to sign up a few more external funders, more than what we had budgeted. We had anticipated that we would get 63 million from the external funders. We managed to sign up and receive 49 million more than what was anticipated, and that's what cushioned us in terms of getting the actuals exceeding the budget by 35 million, which is 5% there. We do note the areas that the COO highlighted in terms of own revenue generation as well as admission fee, and you would note, the Chair, that those were not achieved. If you look at the expense side, I'll just run quickly there. You would note that we had a deficit of 14.2 million, and the driver for that is that we had, in terms of the personal expenditures, we managed those tightly, and our operating expenses, those were managed tightly. But however, some of the capex that we had run actually proceeded quite speedily, and they were accelerated, and then necessitated that we do those payments earlier than anticipated. Chair, I'd like to move to Q4 because I think I've just highlighted the core issues. Perhaps, I don't know, Chair, whether there's a need to go through the external audit. I think the Deputy Chair had already highlighted the issues, but one might just have to note that we are currently sitting at 93%. The three remaining, we are just awaiting finalization from our auditors and should be able to close them within this period. Moving on to Q4, Chair. Here, in terms of our income, I'll start just one slide back. Thank you. The grant income, we received everything that was due from DFFE, except the challenges that were noted, I think, in the report when it relates to EPWP. You will see there's a difference there of 86 million as compared to what the budget was. In terms of the admission fees, Chair, again, we highlighted the issue of the weather conditions and therefore could not achieve the targets as anticipated, and that goes through with all the other own revenue generation. If we look at the overall, however, we had an actuals in terms of total income of 1 billion or so, and we had a difference of variance where we had 7% that we could not really achieve in terms of budget due to the reasons that I've highlighted above. When it comes to personal cost, the Chair, we had in Q3, I highlighted that there were projects that came in earlier than anticipated. We therefore had to capacitate those, and you would see that on the personal expenditure, that variance that's coming in at 27 is as a result of the projects that we then had to quickly implement. Looking at just an overall, we are indicating that we moved from a deficit in Q3 and then went to a surplus of 19.7 million. And then overall, I've already highlighted that our income was below. We're also indicating on slide 58, we're also indicating just towards the end of the financial year, we remained solvent, Chair, in that our assets, our total assets exceeded our liability. And then in terms of liquidity, we were able to pay our debts as they become due in that. I think, Chair, I'd like to stop it there. I don't know whether we've met the 30 minutes, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sedita. CEO, were you done with your presentation? Because you have 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Left. Were you done?
Yes, Chair.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's fine. Honorable members, that is the presentation from SANB. I am now going to note her. You can mute, Ms. Sedita. Thank you. I see the end of Honorable Managa, followed by Honorable Paulsen, Honorable Mkhize, Honorable Khumalo, Honorable De Block, followed by Honorable Bilangulu, and Honorable Makasi, Honorable Mukwena, then Honorable Themba. In that order, Honorable members. Honorable Managa.
Ndolibu Chairperson, let me also welcome the researcher and Honorable Bilangulu for joining the team. Honorable Chairperson, I'm going to make my remarks in both quarters. We're grateful because the entity has improved a lot. Even though we have some other programs wherein we need to talk about so that there should be improvement. Program 1, CEO, National Botanical and Zoological Gardens. You, in the third quarter, you achieved 40% and you were off target by 60%. and it was vice versa, the administration, where you achieved 60% and off target 40%. So my question, Honorable Chair, will be looking at this underperformance in these two programs that are central, maybe to the function of SANBI. How has this underperformance affected the operations, maintenance, and also public services at the botanical gardens, as well as the zoological sites across the country, Honorable Chair? And the other thing is the issue of percentage of female staff appointed in senior and top management. In Q3, it was 49% of female representation in senior top management. They did hire one person there to fill a vacant post. Is worrisome, Honorable Chair, because as I don't want to sound like a feminist, but if possible, let's apply the zebra stripes. We need to have at least a 50-50 representation of all the genders. That's all, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manaka. Honorable Paulson.
Thank you, and good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to the Deputy Chair of SANBI and CFO and the DG. Chairperson, given that SANBI was 24% off target in Q3 and 10% of target in Q4, what are the overarching strategies, or what overarching strategies are being implemented to improve overall performance and ensure that targets are consistently met in future reporting periods? And how does SANBI plan to address the recurring challenges that span multiple quarters, particularly those related to income generation and visitor numbers, which impacts the financial sustainability of SANBI? And then a question on Q3 performance issue. Regarding the green energy and water conservation strategy implementation, what specific procurement requirements caused the inability to conclude contracts with 2 service providers? And what is the revised timeline for re-advertisement and contract finalization to ensure that the annual target is met? And
Honorable
then,
Paulson. Honorable Paulson, we can't see you. You can just switch off your video. We just see something. We just see your mouth.
just
Yeah.
my apologies. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that, Chairperson. Where was I? So in third quarter, SANBI reported a 14.2 million rand deficit on its consolidated statement of financial performance in Q3. So what are the primary drivers of this deficit, and what steps are being taken to move towards a surplus or to reduce the deficit? And then last question, Chairperson. In Q4, for own income generation, the annual target wasn't achieved, with 188, or rather 180.8 million generated in 2024-2025, and this is lower than the previous year. So what is the breakdown of the multiple factors stated outside SANBI's control, such as unfavorable weather conditions that impact visitor numbers, and how will the improved and innovative marketing and communication strategy specifically address these external challenges for 2025 and 2026? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Paulson. Honorable Mkhize.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. thank you for this opportunity. I'd also like to greet our honorable members of the Portfolio Committee and greetings to DP and everyone present. I've got only a few questions here. Why was only 50% of the green energy and water conservation strategy implemented by Q3? And what's the new timelines? I think I'm not sure whether I'm overlapping with the question that was also asked by Honorable Paulson. My second question is, what strategies exist to improve the proportion of women in senior and top management roles above 45.9%? And the last question will be, are any cost overruns anticipated for the remaining infrastructure project in 2024 and 2025? Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Honorable De Blok. Honorable Watson, your mic is on. Can you switch it off and lower your hand, please? Honorable De Blok, over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and a very warm welcome to our new member and our new researcher. And I'm told on good authority that we're getting 2 researchers, and there's a process underway to hire a second researcher. So we're definitely looking forward to the expansion of the A team. I don't know if that makes them the A+ team. You'll have to tell me, Chileka. To Sanbi, congratulations on your improvements over the 2 quarters. We're happy to see that, and we're hoping that that improvement continues to 100%. And I'm glad to see that we have plans in place wherever we've underperformed to rectify those underperformances. Specifically on the target around visitor numbers and income, like Honorable Paulson brought up, just you mentioned that there are some marketing and incentive strategies to rectify that underperformance, but I wonder, CEO, if you can give us a little bit more detail on how you are planning to recover that underperformance and hopefully outperform in this current financial year. And then under the resource mobilization target, I noticed that Sanbi missed the 105 million rand target in this financial year. But I did want to take the opportunity to congratulate Sanbi on a recent development, which was the securing of $40 million or 700 million rand from the Green Climate Fund. I think we should celebrate that as the committee, considering the target is 105 million, to get 700 million in one specific grant related to climate change work is really, really phenomenal. So congratulations on that. And I wondered if we have time, if the CEO can just give us a little quick briefing on how that money will be used to implement different projects. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable De Blok. Honorable Bilangulu. Honorable Kate, you can switch off your video, Mama.
Chair.
You can switch off your
Come
video
again.
and then just open your mic. Switch off your video.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Chair. And good morning once more, Chairperson, the Deputy Minister, honorable members, and everyone else in this platform. And thank you very much, members, for welcoming me to be part of the group or this collective. Chair, firstly, I would like to welcome the presentation because it enables us, even the new ones or the new beginners, to understand. I've got only 3 questions. Chair, I would like to ask my first questions as follows. Is there any support provided post-training? For example, should there be vacancies in the organization or in sister organization? Do you consider those who were part of the program or you don't? Secondly, Chair, I would like to ask or to know as to why did they resulted in 14.2 million deficit as noted in the report. The last question, Chair, is that of the 90% achievement. They indicated that it's only 10% that they failed to achieve. They even state their reasons of rain and something else. But is there any mechanism that you are considering for now to put in place to ensure that towards and events can still happen regardless of whether cold or rain weather's condition? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bilangulu. Honorable Marcus.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to yourself, the DM, Honorable Swartz, and honorable members present with all the officials. And also let me join the others in thanking the presentation that was done to us, which proves good work that is done by SANBI. I just have a few questions, Chair. The first one is what consequence management is in place for contractors who fail to meet contractual obligations and timelines, such as the one working on the Storm Bay, which is the Sipol complex. The second one is what are the EPWP modalities that caused lower income in the interest generated? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Marcus. Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to everyone on the platform. And let me take this opportunity and welcome the presentation from SANBI. I've got only 2 questions, Chair. And then I just want to check what is the progress update on the 16 projects that were still in progress, as we have noted that 34 out of 50 were completed. And then the other one, has there been a new intake for the Groen Sevenza graduate programs? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. Honorable Khumalo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to your good self, our Deputy Minister Swart, honorable members on the platform, CEOs of entities, and the board members that are present in the platform. Chairperson, let me join my colleagues for welcoming the presentation from SANBI. It is a good presentation, but I'm just having only 2 questions, Chair. One, are the current vacant senior position not budgeted for? Because there is a slide that deals with that not all positions of senior positions are budgeted for, are filled. I mean, approximately how much is generated, Chair, through the music concerts and venue hire, as you indicated that you had 70 hires for weddings and various other functions. I want just to check how much has SANBI generated in that weddings and the venue hires. With how much have we made? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ma'am. Honorable Temba.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Let me welcome our new researcher and our other colleagues who just joined us. You are welcome. Chair, I have only 2 questions, which is others have been covered by the team. It shows that we are a dedicated team. We are aligning with our questions. Yeah, so I only have 2 questions, more special on the infrastructure. On the 35 out of 50 priorities infrastructure project completed by Q3, delays of Stormy Bay seal pool renovations that is due. And I'm covered by Honorable Mukize on the 5% green energy and water. My question on that one of the infrastructure, how is SAMPI addressing contractors' delays on projects like Stormy Bay renovations? My other question is, are the lesson learned from the Groensebenza conclusion that will improve future HCD programs? And my last question, Chair, is can they please provide us with the information of the new funders that they have now? Because we must know, there's a say that says who feeds you controls you. So we want to know that who's investing or giving money to SAMPI. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Temba. From my side, just in addition to some of the questions that were raised by our members, on slide 38, it shows a breakdown of the actions taken to address audit findings and associated progress in quarter 3. But these details are missing in quarter 4. Does this mean all 12 outstanding issues have been resolved? And one of the findings was that the management did not review and monitor compliance with applicable SCM legislation and did not take effective steps to collect long-standing revenue. Can then SANBI tell us how far are they in addressing them, the 12 unreported findings, as well as collecting the long outstanding revenue? And the other finding that needs reporting, over-reliance of reviewing annual financial statements. How far is SANBI in developing internal capacity to timely and adequately review financial statements? Those are the questions from my side. CE? CEO of SANBI,
Yes.
over to you.
I'm here. So I'm going to not to follow the sequence that the questions came. I hope Chair can hear me and honorable members, honorable Chair, and then I can go through, and my colleagues here will also come through, not in any particular order. There's a question that came through around funding. I think it was Honorable Temba on matters of on resource mobilization. I think Honorable de Block did refer to the funding that we just got of over 40 million US dollars, which then is translated into rands in the manner that was presented. This money comes through the GCF, which is the Green Climate Fund. The Green Climate Fund is a product of a multilateral system under the United Nations framework on climate change, UNFCCC. In that case, South Africa is a party to that process and participated actively through DFFE to make sure that the country supports and plays its part for the formation of this GCF, which then worked tirelessly to create a system where funding can be put into a pool and countries can apply. In this case, through the support of the DFFE, SANBI was accredited internationally or by the GCF as what we call direct access facility. At some point when we go through this, as it has been requested, we'll be able to go into details of what it means, but it allows us also to come in as as an entity that can access that fund directly, not through a third party like other countries that don't have capacity would work through some UN agencies in that form, or other third parties for that matter. So here, SANBI then comes in directly, working with partners in the country, and submit. And we've worked on a number of projects in the pipeline for submission nearly every year or every 2 years, starting with the one that we just celebrated now, the signing thereof. So there is not much of exposure in terms of control in the sense that in this case, it's a project that we conceptualized ourselves to respond to South African challenges of adaptation to the impact of climate change, increasing vulnerability that we need to do in different areas, from droughts, fires, floods, and many other things, early warning systems, disaster management, but using ecosystem-based solutions. That is what it's all about. I won't go into the details of that. So there's no element of, in that one in particular, of any aspect of control that we may talk to, because we conceptualized that as well. When it comes to infrastructure, which was also referred to even by Honorable Temba only, we ended up the 50 of them as per what was set through maintenance and also new infrastructure, 40-10, in that case, making it 50, all of them by end of Q4 covered. We do encounter challenges that we manage. We've got a team led by the COO, of course, when it comes to measures that need to be taken. I think later on we can talk to that. There are penalties that are imposed. There are instances where we even release the contractors. There are standards that we follow that are defined. So whatever we do must comply to the prescripts of the law and should be able to stand the test of any legal challenge that may come. Those are affected in processes depending on the context that we're dealing with. There was a question that refers to, I think, Sebenza, I think Honorable Mukwena, Honorable Temba, Honorable Managa, I think they referred to that. We learned a lot from Sebenza. Through the 2 years that we had more than 1,200 young people. What's interesting is that we were doing this as a second installment from the lessons that we learned some years ago. In this case, to a point where immediately after the project ended, officially, of course, in March, technically in terms of the in December, in that form, we managed to track. The earlier tracking showed us 340 young people, which represents, if we're using 1,200, is 27% of those that left the system, finding jobs earlier that are stable, which was quite interesting. We have a system of track and tracing, and then we'll be checking later on as to where are these young people. There are those that we have taken ourselves, and they're on board within SANBI and others also in other agencies that we've been working with, where funding allows for such, and most of those coming in on a permanent basis from that. So that 340 with other partners as well, and SANBI included in that space. So we are working very hard to also see if we can find other partners. Programs like this come in as conditional grants, in the sense that there's a time period agreed through the funder, in this case DFFU was, and then you work within that time frame, and then you can go to another installment with a new contract. So that was how the framing was as we move along. So with the partners that we are also talking to, including other agencies in government, we'll be able to take it further in the next installment as and when that funding is covered. I also want to go back to the issue of the 50-50 when it comes to the appointments. I think Honorable Managa raised that. It was also raised by other honorables here. In that case, at the end of Q4, we were sitting at 50-50, which is what we were looking for. In that case, we have done well in there. I must indicate to honorable members that one person leaving the organization at any other untimely space, it affects that percentage dearly, seriously. So in that case, if we lose two, we did lose some within the financial year that went into bigger roles. Some of them also, or one of them going into an international role in that case, which is also a good investment for the country. We get those, and we are not in control of that. We put this target after a thorough analysis of the fact that an acknowledgement that we don't have control of certain aspects, but we'll do the best that we can to retain as much as possible. In terms of the movements in Program 1, Program 4, Program 1, which was at 40% at that time because of the infrastructure and related matters referred to, which we had resolved, moved from 40% to 100%. So there are certain things that even if they happen 5 days or 10 days after the end of the quarter, we cannot count and report them within that quarter. We then have to look at them in the next quarter. For reporting purposes, there must be evidence because all our reports go through the auditors to make sure that they reflect appropriately and accurately what happened within that period. In terms of the visitors, COO can talk to that, but there are a number of programs that we have put in place and we continue to market Sunday. You may have seen that there are a lot of activities associated with Sunday that we're putting through. They come in different forms. Part of what we did for the first time in the financial year in question was to have what we call 5 days or a week of what we refer to an open week, which with free entry. And some of the people that have never been to either National Botanical Gardens or National Zoological Gardens found space to come through through that. And there were a lot of activities that have been happening to try and expose people to a number of things, including but not limited to other membership schemes that we have introduced for the first time. So we with all those measures, I may not go through each one of those, but there are measures that are put through for marketing, for exposure. Last week when we had the pensioners coming in numbers in one of the gardens, most of them saying they're coming in for the first time, being supported to be there. Quite interesting indeed. This is one of those that we keep on looking for partners that we can work with, who'll be able to fund and also support people coming through, those that cannot. There's also a question about the green energy and green conservation strategies that we have, or there's a strategy that we have. We as much as we achieved 100% of what we were in, what we had set out from Q3, now moving into Q4. Here we are looking at this as also a way of reducing our costs, because once you have green energy operational, in some cases we can be off grid as much as we can, or rely on the grid minimally, and then we transfer money to other areas that need to help us. We're putting a lot of effort on resource mobilization, not only this big one that we spoke about. There are many others that we still continue, and we work with UN agencies and many others in that case. As we go through this financial year, I think we'll be able to refer to some of those. SANBI is assigned to be as Technical and Scientific Cooperation Center for SADC. In that space also, it puts us at the limelight, one of the 18 in the world, one of the 5 in Africa. In that case also, it puts us at a level where there's level of trust when we talk to agencies and others that need to fund, say, this is a credible organization in the country that can deliver. In that case, we know that it will translate into funding coming through. My colleagues will talk about some of the breakdowns associated with the amount, the 180 million, of course, that we raised, which was supposed to be more last year, to be honest, we all experienced that was an unusual year. In that case, certain things that we could not anticipate with the La Nina phenomenon were not in our favor. So as we plan, we make certain assumptions, and some of the assumptions may not come through the way we can. But we look at previous years and the trends and everything else that we could use as assumptions that are informed, but certain things we may not have control of. Of course, the more numbers we have, the more people also coming through and using the products that we have, the more money we spend on infrastructure, because for us, infrastructure creates value chains. If there's a new restaurant, there are new clients that come through. If there's a new development that we normally make sure that we look at those, or a new improvement, all of those things translate into money in the long run. But it also comes in and starts with what we put through. I will request the CFO and the COO just to quickly go through some of the areas that I didn't talk to. Right.
CFO. Ms. Sadida.
The CFO splitter is here. He continues. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'll just talk to the revenue generation and I'll link it up. And thank you so much for all the questions that are there in terms of that. So it is true, we've actually, as a CE indicated, that we actually realized that last year was a bit of a hurdle. We had issues with our own projects internally in terms of the EPWP, but also the weather was not so kind to us. So we have put in plans, Chair, in terms of revenue generation. You would have noted that when we presented our budget, there is a reliance from SANBI to generate its own revenue. Currently, the split is 30% needs to be generated, and unless we are able to put that in our coffers, it makes it quite difficult for us to actually implement some of the projects. So this is being taken as a high priority. With that being said, Chair, what we've done, we've realized that instead of us waiting for us to have concerts, for example, at the end of the calendar year, normally we have concerts in Kirstenbosch. We have now introduced concerts rather in Gauteng, and we've had around about 4 or 5 of those concerts aside, and before those assist the revenue generation. But in general, what you would find is that we do have a revenue generation strategy where we are focusing on facilities, for example, like in the zoo and in the garden. What are the areas that we can quickly unlock so that we are able to achieve our targets for this current financial year? I think the CE spoke about the garden week. Those are some of the initiatives that we've put in place. So the idea about the garden week, although it is free, but it's just to give people a taste of what we have available. So we have seen that has developed or drove a bit of an interest, especially in the zoo, and that assisted us with the numbers there. What we've also done in the zoo, we've seen some of the complaints that were coming up from our zoo goers, and we've really tried to address them with the limited financials that we have. We have managed to upgrade in terms of the other infrastructure, but the other key area of focus that we looked at is actually enhancing the animal collection that you can find at the zoo. We've introduced the number of fishes there in the aquarium, and I think you're looking for a shark or 2 to join them so that we just enhance it.
Stony Bay chain that we are really pushing to do is where we have our penguins in there, and we want to try and create a sort of a flair so that the young ones can come in and be entertained. So those are some of the areas here. I don't know whether I tried to go as detailed. So it's penguins and seals that are going to be at the Stony Bay and entertaining the young ones. So we're trying to replicate what you would see at Ushaga Marine, but with just penguins and seals. The deficit, we had a deficit in the third quarter of 14.2 million, but you would have seen that we worked quite tirelessly to make sure that we cover it. In the third quarter, we had moved from a deficit, so we then moved to a profit of 19 million. The drivers for the deficit is that if you look at our performance, we did have infrastructure projects that were actually, put in place earlier than anticipated, which therefore meant that the spending would also increase. So that's the main driver that is causing the deficit of 14.2 million rands. The resource mobilization, I think the CE has already addressed, so I won't go into that one. The venue hire, how much have we generated? So those, if you look at our financials, we have consolidated there in our financials. We talk about own revenue generation as well as rental. So in total, the venue hires, just want to quickly check. In terms of the concerts, we've generated a total of 23 million on the concerts. And then the other element, so we've got our own concerts, which we drive our own, and we advertise and so forth. And there are those that where we host the international artists, and there we have generated 1.5 million. So it's 21 million, sorry, for own generation and 1.5 for international, giving us a total of 23.1 million. And then in terms of the venue hire, we have combined a total of 4.7 that we have generated in terms of venue hire by December. We have pushed in terms of the end of the financial year, we were sitting at 6.8 million in that regard. When it comes to the modalities, Chair, this one really took us by a bit of a surprise, both ourselves and DFFE. So the change is that there was an audit finding that was given to the department, which then resulted in the change. So what that meant is that because EPWP is a conditional grant, so you don't get it as a tranche like you would have with your ordinary grant, the AG requested that before payments could be made by DFFE, SANBI and all of the other entities would have to incur the cost first and then claim from DFFE. So what that meant is that we would have to then tap into our own funds to pay and then get reimbursed. But that in tapping into our own funds means that we therefore cannot put the funds that we were originally targeting for interest to generate that kind of revenue, because we then have to pay to ensure that our programs that are linked to EPWP were successful, Chair. The last item, Chair, it was an oversight. Our apologies on that one in terms of slide 38. We have moved, Chair, the findings. We originally had 12 outstanding. We only have 3 outstanding, and the 3 relates to the service in kind. So these are the zoo properties that we are in negotiation with Public Works to transfer. We also are finalizing the disaster recovery plan. So we have appointed a service provider to assist us with that, and we're currently busy with the testing. And the last one is on the SCM compliance, the 14 days
we are awaiting for the audits to just conclude. We didn't want to finalize this one without the auditors concluding to see that we have indeed reduced that compliance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. That's the response that we can give for now. Okay. Honorable Chair and honorable members.
Okay, and the one that I've raised, the last one on over-reliance on consultants on reviewing annual financial statements.
Apologies on that one, Chair. We have appointed our own manager to assist us with doing the financials. Over and above that, Chair, we've got an internal auditor that we have within SANBI. So now, instead of being fully outsourced, we are co-sourced, and so she's assisting us with the review in that regard. My apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, I do not see any. Honorable Temba, is there a follow-up? And okay,
Yes,
Chair. You wanted to make a follow-up?
Yes, Chair.
Oh, okay.
Chair, I wanted to make a follow-up on the funding. Is this funding not a loan? That's my question, sir.
CE?
Honorable Chair, I couldn't pick up what Honorable Temba was saying.
Can you? Okay. Honorable Temba, can you repeat your question?
Is this funding not a loan?
Oh, yes. So the one that we're talking about, no, it's not a loan. It's a grant, fully, 100%. Not a loan.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Temba. I do not see any hands for follow-up questions. Thank you, Sanbi, for your presentation and your responses. Your deputy chairperson of the board had requested that you be released after you are done with your presentation and questions. You are released. Thank you very much for attending the meeting and also for responding to our questions. You are now released. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's then move to our second presenter, iSimangaliso. I'm going to give over to Nkosi Utembe. Just Nkosi Tembe, just do a brief overview. Please don't go into the report details. Please just do a brief overview. Then we can hand over to the acting CEO.
No. Thank you very much, Chairperson, for affording us an opportunity. I will be brief as possible as you have requested. My greetings to Honorable Minister George John in his absentia. The greetings to our deputy ministers, Singh in absentia, and Deputy Minister Swart, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, Chairperson of the board who are present, board members who are present, CEOs of the entities who are present, Director General of the department, senior officials who are present. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Some of the issues have been highlighted by the deputy ministers on her brief in this regard. As a World Heritage Site, iSimangaliso mandate is to conserve and protect the park unique biodiversity, cultural heritage, and natural beauty while promoting sustainable tourism and social economic development. This mandate guides our strategic objectives and inform us operational activities. I am pleased to report that we have made a notable progress in advancing our strategic objectives, building on our commitment to deliver on it. We therefore appreciate the opportunity to account for our achievements and complicity during the reporting period. During the third quarter of the 2024-2025 financial year, the entity had planned for 24 outputs indicators, and 22 of those output indicators were achieved, which translate to 92% of the organizational performance. During this fourth quarter of the 2024-2025 financial year, the entity achieved 100% of the organizational performance of 26 output indicators. We got our acting CEO that is going to take us through on this brief notes, and we also have our CFO that it will also touch base on the financial issues if needs be. I'll then hand over to our acting CEO, Keleso Tembe. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Babu Tembe. Over to you, acting CEO, Mrs. Tembe.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Minister in his absentia, the Deputy Minister in his absentia, and Deputy Minister Swartz in her presence, Director Generals, Honorable members, board members, or representatives, and CEOs of our entities. Thank you so much for affording me this opportunity to be able to present the iSimangaliso third and fourth quarter organizational performance for the 2024-25 financial year, which has demonstrated an impressive achievement of our set targets. We have reports. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, apologies for that. Can you also follow the queue and focus on key areas? Please, okay. You have 30 minutes.
All right, thank you. I will 20 try.
20 minutes for your presentation.
Yes, I will try to be very quick. As I am going through the presentation, I would like to maybe request that my CFO assist me with flighting it so that we are able to go through it as in God's speed. In presenting our third and fourth quarter reports, we will specifically highlight the targets that were not met, along with the complexities that have contributed to the deviations and the way that we have addressed them. As I go through the presentation, I will start on the presentation that we have under corporate services and support in quarter 3, where we have SAGE. We had to have a number of digitized business systems wherein we could not have the SAGE 300 people migration to cloud employee self-service implemented. Currently, what the issue was that the cloud could not be implemented due to the server remediation being impacted by the collation of data. And upon the remediation of the server, the process of us procuring a service provider had to then be initiated. The corrective measures that we have undertook is that we appoint a service provider and that this target be achieved at least in the quarter 4. The next will be under program 2, which is biodiversity and conservation, where we have the anti-poaching strategy and game ranger services that we had to develop in our third quarter. This was not developed due to the funding that arrived in October 2024, and it was only initiated after the service provider was able to be secured by ACM. The corrective measure that we have was that we had to ensure that the procurement processes are now initiated and that a service provider is appointed to begin the process of developing the anti-poaching and game ranger strategy for the fourth quarter. And then as I go quickly to our quarter 4, I will skip on the financial aspect where the CEO will come in. I will go to the performance quarter 4. where we have achieved, as what the chairperson has alluded, we have achieved 100% in all our performances. As I hand over to the CEO, I will go to the slide of the finances. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Over to you, CFO.
Good morning, Chairperson, and thank you for the opportunity. In the third quarter financial report, what we experienced was that we had an increase in terms of the assets, but it was not as expected. We didn't do much in terms of third quarter. The only aspect where we were seeing ourselves was that we were not liquid in the third quarter. If you look at our assets, our current liabilities were exceeded by 199 million vis-a-vis 66 million, which is the illiquid in terms of if you look at the grants vis-a-vis the assets. The main reason was that we were still waiting for the grants to be transferred to us that had to do with the EPWP programs. And then in terms of assets, we had a decrease in terms of depreciation. That's why our asset decrease. It's basically around the depreciation. And in terms of revenue, in the third quarter, our figures were not looking good. We had not received our EPWP programs funding, and we were not able to meet all, as you see, all the rates had to do with revenue, where we could not implement the projects. And as per the plan of our budget, we had said we would achieve most in quarter 3, but we could not do such until quarter 4. And but how we did that was that we were able to manage our expenditure. So you will see that below, we did not spend as we were waiting for the funding to come, which eventually came in quarter 4. And in the quarter, we had a surplus, we had a deficit of about 68 million in quarter 3. As indicated, total revenue we had about 267 million against the targeted one of 222 million and a variance of about 55 million. Hence, as I indicated, it mainly EPWP programs that we had not received or had not commenced in the quarter 3. And then moving to quarter 4, financial reports. In this quarter, basically, we had a lot of improvement. If you look at our current assets, non-current asset increase about 10 million because of the asset that we did in Sodwana Bay, the fresh produce market, which we completed in this quarter 4. And then, of course, at this quarter, we're still illiquid, where when you look at our current assets, about 43 million vis-a-vis 117 million, but there was a bit of improvement when you look at quarter 4, quarter 3, which we just spoken about. And there is also another area which we look into, seeing that we're not having enough funds. What we did was we had to look at our debtors, those people who are owing us monies. If you look at our exchange, we had about 1.6 million amount that was sitting on our debtors. Then we did an exercise to say, are these people really owing us? And we did an exercise where we did a data cleansing and followed up with those that are owing us. And then after that we noticed that it's about about 756,000 that we need to write off, which we're still drafting and we're still waiting for the approval. And in terms of the liquidity, of course, we are still managing our account receivable and our accounts payable to say, looking at what we have in the bank, we shouldn't exceed what we plan. But of course, when there is delays in transfer of funds, it causes that either have to rob someone to pay someone. So that's what we find ourselves in Q3. But however, that picture improved in Q4. As you look at Q4 financial revenue, we had improved revenue. So we all met our targets for Q4, including the revenue target. We were able to meet our targets. So in a nutshell, total revenue amounted to 358 for Q4, and we exceeded our target with about 30 million, and that decreases our deficit, and we had about a surplus of about 1 million. And as a result, we had to, during the Q4, we had to ask the department to convert our capex into opex, that we were not able to meet our financial obligation. That improved the picture. But when you look at the interest income, we had about interest that was sitting in our account from previous years, financial years, of about 14 million, which we were asking to use to pay for normal expenditure. Because it's got a condition, we could not just use that amount other than to request from the department to use that interest income. However, that request was not approved. It was only the conversion of capex into opex that was approved, and we were asked to speak to National Treasury about that one. So, but in a nutshell, for Q4, we closed our book with a surplus of about 1.9 million in Q4. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mama Mdambo. Members, that's it from iSimangaliso. I'm now going to note hands. Oh, Mamum Tembe, you wanted to say something? Because I see your mic was on.
No,
Acting CEO.
no, thank you, ma'am. I had nothing to say.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, it's fine. Honorable Managa, I see your hand. Honorable Beach, Honorable Makasi, Honorable Mkize, Honorable Temba, Honorable Kumalo, Honorable Mokwena, followed by Honorable Bilangulu. Honorable Managa? Managa.
Okay.
You are muted. You were muted, Mama.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Can you please give the other the other members? I'll come maybe last or second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm opening my questions. So currently my gadget is failing me. Can I come second?
Honorable Beach? Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, it's fine. Honorable Beach?
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much for the presentation. I just have two questions not directly related to the presentation. I was hoping that the representatives from iSimangaliso could maybe just give us an update regarding the private venture at Charters Creek. How is it progressing in regards to getting operational and starting with having guests at that facility? And then secondly, Chair, I would just like to hear an update in regards to the other commercialized opportunities or commercialization project surrounding some of the private-public partnerships. How is that progressing? If we could just get an update on those two projects. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Beach. Mama Managa, are you ready now?
Yes, Chair, I'm ready.
Okay, over to you, Ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much. So when the report is good, Honorable Chair, it's difficult to even come up with the question. We've just heard the Honorable Member pitch. But just allow me, Chair, to begin by extending my congratulations to the team of iSimangaliso for their outstanding performance across both quarters. The 92% in quarter 3 and the remarkable 100% in quarter 4. Yeah, it shows that they are not sleeping on duty. They are on duty. I so wish, Honorable Chair, if other entities were here so that they can also share the best practices. I know that the way the entities operate is not the same, but ever since we started as the portfolio committee to work with them, Honorable Chair, they always give us best results. So when we compare the results of quarter 3 and quarter 4, Chair, the corporate services, it improved from 80% and then in quarter 4 they got 100%, 5 over 5 of their targets. Biodiversity conservation from 80 also to 100. Actually, everything is 100 it's 100%. So, Honorable Chair, so I have, I don't know whether should I say give the questions or give the remarks. I want to check with them, are they using a model or any document that they can share maybe with other entities that are struggling, not necessarily in our department, maybe with other departments also? And how do they ensure, Chair, that this high performance translates into tangible benefits for local communities, particularly in terms of employment? I heard them talking about the EPWP employment. We need full-time people who are permanent, if they can just improve on that. And the other thing, the internal operational system or the project management frameworks, do they have some that they've institutionalized at this level? And if they have, is it sustainable? But we are seeing them giving us excellent results each quarter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Manak. Honorable Makasi.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to the presentation that was done to us. Indeed, our entities are doing a great job. And it's actually good, Chair, that even those that rejected the budget vote are actually now today commending the work that is done by our entities within the department. My question is on the issue of the challenges on the server that they mentioned, just to check whether do they not have something that indicates, or their server, is it not indicating to them when it needs to be updated? And also if why they also waited for that server to block them from loading data onto the system. Do they not have someone that can assist in remedying the situation? In our layman terms, we call that person an IT.
You are breaking, Makas. You are breaking, ma'am. Please, yeah, uyavakala ngokuphinde la question.
All right. I was saying on the issue of the server that they've mentioned, which is a challenge. Do they not have anything that is of preventative measures for them not to have such kind of challenges? And whether is their server not indicating to them when it needs to be updated? And I was making an example that in our layman terms or simple language is that you would have an IT specialist that would look at issues of computers that would be able to assist before you can even call a service provider to even assist into that term, to that issue. So I wanted to check if the server is not indicating to them and why they waited for it to block them. And then the second one is within the and a ranger services strategy. If not, why not? And then is such work always outsourced, or was the anti-poaching ranger services strategy
Mamakas. Mamakas. Makas.
Yes, Chair.
Can you repeat this question, dear Rangers?
All right.
You were breaking. Yes, yes.
All right. I'm asking, Chair, within the NDT, is there no capacity to draft the anti-poaching and ranger services strategy? If not, why not? And is such work always outsourced, or was the anti-poaching ranger services strategy an exception? I hope I was audible, Chair. Thank you.
Yes, yes, you are. Thank you, Mamakas. Honorable Mkhize.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I also would like to welcome the presentation from iSimangaliso Wetland Park. They've done a good job. I have just only two questions. The first one is, what concrete plans exist to address the 55 million revenue shortfall from delayed grants transfer? Because I know that it's not easy to work if there is no money. Then I'm surprised if they applaud that they received 100% from Q3 and Q4, but with a shortfall in revenues. The last question is, given cash flow challenges, is there a plan to commercialize further revenue streams in iSimangaliso Park? Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you, Mkhize. Honorable Temba.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Makasi, for your question on anti-poaching. Let me just go again on the anti-poaching. On the other angle, why was the anti-poaching and ranger services strategy not finalized on time? And how does that affect the park security? My other question is, how sustainable is the surge of tourism from the diverted Mozambican visitors? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Khumalo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me also join my honorable members who have welcomed the report. Chair, I want just to know, have iSimangaliso Wetland Park taken any legal route or law enforcement route to deal with the Miaiza illegal plantations near Lake Shengeza? If yes, what are the outcomes? If no, why not? Secondly, why are there no strategic branding and marketing effort to market the park as a destination of choice for Q3? Lastly, Chair, which are zones that are considered zones of influence and why? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Makhumalo. Mokoena.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've got only two questions. I just want to check how much is being spent on the construction or maintenance of the park, and how much do you estimate to make from this investment? Number two, What measures are you putting in place to better manage your asset to liability ratio and ensure liquidity for years to come? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mokana. Mapilankul.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And firstly, let me also commend the team of the good work that they are doing as iSimangaliso. Keep it up. Chairperson, as much as they've achieved or they're doing the good work, but there are some issues that one need to raise. My first question to iSimangaliso, Chair, is that have you conducted a study to ascertain that indeed the extra 24,594 paying visitors were achieved due to the aggressive marketing campaigns that the organization implemented? The second question, Chair, is that what informed the decision to write off debtors of 756,000? And the last one, Chairperson, is that what was the reason for the late commencement of the EPWP in Q4? And thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mepulankulu. Mr. Nasamvumi, can you switch off your mic, please? What is the distribution of the environmental awareness activities conducted, and how far is their reach? Because the goal should be to reach areas with high demand for environmental awareness. So if you can just respond to that as well. I'm going to give over to the acting CEO of, not the acting CEO. Yeah, CEO, Isimangaliso.
Thank you, Chair. I have tried to grasp most of the questions, and where I will need the assistance of the CFO. She will also come in. I think I did grab on the question server on what are the challenges of us having this server issue sorted. And I can answer to say that the server does indicate when we do have to update it, meaning there is no malfunctioning with our server currently. The issue of us not having this achievement yet of the Sage 300 migration and people migration is due to the recurrent electrical failures that we had, which have then resulted in us having our transformer upgraded. Initially, we were working on 150 kVA, and now we've upgraded to 315 so that we can be able to sufficiently give enough electricity for the whole entire office or the headquarters of the park. So we have had issues because of the electrical failures. This had also delayed the data collation, which is done by our internal IT manager. Before we could have the services done by a service provider, or for us to have even that procured, we had to ensure that we do the data migration, and that became delayed. The other question that I think I grasped from Honorable Makasi was this anti-poaching strategy. If at all we do or do not have the capacity to do it ourselves. It will also cover on the question that was asked by Mr. Temba, or Honorable Temba, with regards to the anti-poaching strategy and how it affects us as a park in terms of the security. Where we have realized that this was delaying us, we then had to craft it internally in Q4, because initially it had been planned to be outsourced so that we can also look for funding mechanisms. But after we realized that the funding was too late and it was now delaying the procurement processes, we then ensured that we do this internally.
And it also assisted us to look at funding capabilities or opportunities while we do it ourselves. With regards to this, maybe causing a problem with regards to our security internally, the function is currently being done by our management authority, which is called Ezemvelo KZN Wildlife. So what we're doing is us having to do it ourselves, but also implore or use the services of KZN Ezemvelo. The next question that we grasped on, which will be answered by CFO, is the 55 million shortfall. And given the problems of cash flow, what is it that we have done to try and assist the situation? I can give it to her and then I will come in.
Okay, over to you, Mamum Dambo.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Firstly, maybe to address the first question that was asked by the Honorable Pitch, is that the update on Chatters Creek is that we have advertised Chatters Creek. Of course, it takes a bit longer than we because we need to give as much as we can in terms of the people that we want to invite for them to apply. So the closing date is in August 18, and we expect to get more people that will respond to the proposal that we have sent out. So it's still open for all those who are interested to invest in Chatters Creek. So we would say after that, we can give it about three months for the evaluation process and the bid adjudication to take place. But currently it's still out on tender, and we anticipate that by the end of this financial year, we should have all our the investor taking over Chatters Creek. And then maybe to go to the question of the Honorable Mkhize about the shortfall that we have around the 55 million. I also want to address the question also on the plans around commercialization. What do we have? As we have other than Chatters Creek, we have about Cape Vital, we also have Kosi Bay, we have Mkhuze, which is Mantuma, and we also have Manzingwenya and Sodona Bay as assets that we want to commercialize. And all of these are already in the pipeline. So for instance, for Kosi Bay, we have already received the National Treasury exemption that we can go ahead and advertise. It's all, and also from Mkhuze, the one that we are that will go a bit a longer process is the Cape Vital. But Cape Vital, we've already done the feasibility studies. We have already submitted to National Treasury for them to view and give a further guideline in terms of the procurement, because that process also includes, because it's much of a bigger project, the Cape Vital project. So with that in mind, we've also have advertised the tourism activities such as your game drives, your charter fishing, your boat cruise, and the guard trails in False Bay. So which we are expecting that has been already closed. It closed in 18th of June. So we will finalize the process of appointing those concessionaires. And with regards to the existing, where we are saying we are getting more funding and trying to bridge a gap, we have engaged Ezemvelo, where we have existing contracts that we're paying over to Ezemvelo, which we're supposed to pay in iSimangaliso. So we have started that process, and they have started. We have recently signed an agreement with Mapelane, where we're getting, in a nutshell, all of these amounts will give us about 500,000 a month, starting from the month of September, where we include Sodana Bay. We have a garage there and a shop. So we are saying, based on those leases that are in place, we are starting to bridge that gap, and it's going to give us about 500,000 per month, which automatically will translate to about 3 million on addition on what we have. We already have our timeline to say how are we achieving
that. So I'm just going straight to the question of how are we bridging the gap of 55 million. Of course, where we had delays on funding, what we did was that we had to put on hold those activities. Hence, you saw that we only had increase in EPWP programs or projects in Q4, but not in Q3 because we had to put it on hold. And then I also want to address the question on debtors that was asked by Honorable Bilankulu. In that particular one on debtors, what we did was that we had run an exercise seeing that we are seeing people not paying. We did an exercise to say, can we do a data cleansing? Are these people still there? And what we find is that some of these companies did close in during the COVID year, and they were not. We did not continue to raise the data, but they did not pay, and we found that those companies were closed and they were no longer operational. So we had to come up with ways. This is the real debt or not? But we have we have tools that we are using to identify whether is this a data or not, and hence we came to a point to say we might write off 756,000, and we haven't done that, but we're still taking to the board. And then the other question perhaps is around the investments. In the past we had put about like in the 2023 financial year, 2023-2024, about above 100 million that was put in the investments around the Charters Creek route, and the anticipation is that in the next 5 years we should be getting above 52 million when everything goes according to the plan that we have put in place. And then measures around that was asked around the liquidity or illiquid. What we have put in place is one I've just indicated around the financial sustainability plan that we have that was approved by the board, and we are working to implement it. Among the financial sustainability plan is to look on the data, is to look at the revenue streams, extra revenue streams such as your commercialization, which we are busy engaging, and the existing contracts that we're paying and Ezemvelo, which are now moved to pay iSimangaliso. So based on that, Chairperson, I think the one on finance I've covered. I'll then hand over back to the CEO to address the other questions by the honorable members. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
CEO?
Okay. I think I will also go to the question that was asked regarding the law enforcement route. I think to deal with our issues of illegal plantations, we have, in line with our strategy that we have of land encroachment, we are still at a stage of engaging the communities and the leadership before legal action is taken. And currently this approach is yielding the expected results. So just to give you benefit, that has been looked at. And then the other question that was asked by the chair with regards to environmental awareness for the stakeholders around the park. Currently, we've got stakeholder engagement methods that we are employing, and those methods are within platforms and procedures that will engage stakeholders like our national park steering committees, the People and Parks Forums, the cluster park forums, and including the traditional council, land claimants, and other trusts. So what we've realized that the majority of stakeholders that we've interviewed have also acknowledged that what we are doing as a strategy is yielding the results, because there's a great level of engagement. But because of us having iSimangaliso being situated in a poverty node, we have realized that the benefits perhaps will not be adequate enough to cover all the communities. So we have realized that through the survey that we are doing as a means to look at how our environmental awareness initiatives and whatever else that we do in terms of our stakeholder engagements yields beneficial results, we ensure that we make substantial benefit sharing with regards to that. And then the other question that was asked by Honorable Bilankulo was the 25,000 paying visitors that we are realizing in the park. And was that due to the marketing campaigns perhaps that we have? Correct. We have a marketing survey that we conduct ourselves internally every 2 years that identifies the market segmentation. It also gives us the gap and need analysis, which informs the marketing campaign that we will be doing. So currently, this strategic marketing, together with other marketing initiatives like the Africa Indaba that we had in Durban, the World Travel in Cape Town, has contributed largely to the paying visitor numbers that we've realized. So we are saying that the aggressive marketing was due to the survey that we have conducted, and we do conduct every 2 years. And then I think the other question that I might have not looked at or addressed is the zone of influence. And how can we identify this? A zone of influence in the park is termed as a geographically mapped area that is outside the park, and it is based on the environmental sensitivities and the potential impacts that might influence the park. When we look at it, it is approximately 50 kilometers in radius around the park. And usually we look at any activities that will maybe influence the insensitivity and the potential influences. And Honorable Managa did note that if we do have any models that we have, we are able to share these because we've got a number of our financial sustainability plan, which has given rise to the commercialization strategy. I've also mentioned now the marketing plan or the survey that we do, this the stakeholder engagement plan that we have. So we will be able to share those so that we can be able to see the same results with the other entities that we share with yourselves as DFFE. Colleagues, I'm not too sure if I've covered all the questions. But okay, how does it affect the deviation of visitors? What was that? The anti-poaching strategy or the... Can I get the question that I think we were bombing out, where I think Ubab Tembo was asking, how does the anti-poaching strategy, or was it the issue of us not having it finalized, affect the deviation of visitors?
You want him to repeat that question?
Yes, correct. I would like him to repeat it.
Honorable Temba?
Yes, Chair.
Can you repeat the question that you have posed with regards to anti-poaching?
Or why was the anti-poaching and range services strategy was not finalized on time, and how does this affect the park security?
Thank you, Dad.
Okay, it was not finalized on time due to the late funding availability. Hence, we then had to do it ourselves internally. And it did not, I did answer that question, so it did not affect our park security because that measure is being done by iSimangaliso currently. Thank you.
Thank you, CE. I see the hand of Honorable Beach. I think Honorable Temba, yours is a legacy hand. Honorable Beach, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have a quick follow-up question. Chair, through you, while I'm very happy to hear the response in regards to the concessionaires within the commercialization plan, I'm left with great concern surrounding Charter Creek. Madam Chair, we seem to be getting a different set of information each time the question is posed. I was under the impression that Charter Creek, that the tender had already been finalized and that Charter Creek would most probably be operational by the end of August. Now we hear that the tender is not finalized, for the private operator. Chair, could I maybe request from iSimangaliso if they could maybe just give a written response in regards to Charter Creek, so that we just have some concrete details on record that we can follow up in that regard. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pitch. CE, can you kindly respond in writing?
Okay.
On the due date is Friday, the 12th. I think it's the 12th, no? On Friday.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Okay.
Actually,
Actually, the 11th, Chair.
11th. Oh, it's fine. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. We've noted that and we'll do so. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mama. Thank you very much, iSimangaliso, for the presentation and your responses. We'll await your written response with regards to the Charter Creek. You are now released. We don't want to keep you here as we move to the last presenter, which
Thank you
is
so much.
SAFCOL.
Thank you,
Thank
Chair. We
you.
will take.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you. Chair, I think we are now moving to SAFCOL. I
Yes,
am
please.
going to give board chair, Professor Nesamvumi, to do a brief overview. Then after that, hand over to the acting CEO, Mr. Dlamini. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, to all honorable members of the House, Deputy Minister Swartz, the Minister and Deputy Minister Narat Singh in absentia. Chairperson, I will follow suit and be as brief as I can just to give more time to the CEO. Allow me to first just indicate that I'm leading the team SAFCOL, which is an entity that manages state-owned forests in Limpopo, Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, as well as an operation in Mozambique through its subsidiary, IFLOMA. Its main business involves supplying logs to downstream users, a portion of which is processed into lumber products. In order to enhance its operation, SAFCOL ensure a long-term sustainability by implementing a strategy which is focused on product diversification and the modernization of its aging infrastructure. Key initiatives include the phased-in and upgrade of the Timbadola sawmill and the replacement of the outdated forestry equipment, all pursued within the constrained budget. As part of this strategy, SAFCOL has now secured a strategic partner to utilize the biomass residue from the Timbadola sawmill and the surrounding forest as feedstock for a combined heat and power plant. This facility will generate clean electricity for the use in the sawmill, while the surplus power will be supplied to the grid. SAFCOL is proud, Chairperson, to be an entity that holds a 27-year of Forest Steward Council certificate. This is the longest standing certification on the African continent. This reflects the organization's commitment to sustainable forest management, aligning with global standards and balancing environmental stewardship with socio-economic development. Local communities are actively involved in the forest value chain, and SAFCOL's forestry practices contribute to the carbon sequestration across its plantation. In addition to its forest operation, SAFCOL is involved in ecotourism, which includes hiking trails, waterfalls, and other nature-based attractions within its plantation. Chairperson, I would like now to just indicate two of the major challenges that we have been dealing with of late and one that is more critical is the ERP system implementation and operation challenges. As part of its modernization efforts, SAFCOL implemented an enterprise resource planning system to automate financial and business processes, to enhance its data sharing, reporting, and also to mitigate cybersecurity and audit risks. The ERP project, SAGE 3, was scheduled for implementation from the 5th of June 2023 to the 31st of May 2024. However, challenges arose during the go-live period, resulting in delays in the financial reporting for quarter 2, 3, and 4 of the financial year 2024-2025. The ERP issues were successfully resolved in quarter 1 of 2025-2026, and all the outstanding financial reports have since been updated. The ERP system is now fully operational, including financial reporting capabilities. A comprehensive lessons learned report was developed on the new ERP system, and we have prepared that for future purposes. However, it is important, Chairperson, to highlight the following points. The legacy system, which was outdated, no longer had the capability to support the original purposes of SAFCOL, posing significant risks of data loss and operational disruptions. The prolonged underinvestment in maintaining or upgrading the legacy system led to a forced change into a new ERP system, and this was done very much under pressure. In some of the SAFCOL business areas, the master data transferred to the new system, SAGE, required further refinement, and users experienced a longer learning curve than anticipated. This contributed to the initial processing errors despite the training that was provided. The ERP project was undertaken on a shoestring budget. Such a project needed adequate funding for technology, personnel, and change management. Limited resources meant that the old and the new system could only run in parallel for 1 month. Staff had to take on the ERP project tasks alongside full day-to-day workloads, and often worked over weekends and holidays for SAFCOL to be where it is today. But we are happy that moving forward, the system has now been integrated. The second challenge was the financial recovery and turnaround strategy. SAFCOL faced significant challenges in 2024 due to reduced demand for logs and lumber products, primarily caused by higher interest rates and a downturn in the construction sector, which is the main consumer of these products. In the second quarter, the company encountered unprecedented forest fires that required the deployment of expensive aerial firefighting resources to support ground efforts. As a result, SAFCOL's cash reserves fell below the 280 million threshold. In response to these various challenges, the company implemented a turnaround strategy starting in quarter 2. This strategy focused on cash preservation, cost containment, limiting expenditure to revenue-generated activities, and compliance-related necessities. By quarter 4, these measures yielded positive results. The liquidity was stabilized, and for the first time in 3 years, SAFCOL generated a net free cash flow. At the end of the 2024-2025, the group recorded a total income of 1.3 billion, reflecting a 6% year-on-year increase, and achieved a profit of 13 million. And this, Chairperson, I must indicate, is still unaudited results. Now, in terms of the outlook, as I conclude, Chairperson, SAFCOL has commenced detailed planning to upgrade the Timber sawmill, which currently suffers frequent breakdowns due to obsolete equipment. The term sheets from the potential funders have been received and are under review. In pursuit of the clean energy, SAFCOL has formalized the development agreement with a strategic partner to build the CHP plant, as I indicated earlier on. Looking ahead, SAFCOL's strategy for the 2025-2026 prioritizes financial recovery, infrastructure renewal, and the long-term growth. The company remains committed to leading sustainable forest practices, driving climate change mitigation, and delivering socio-economic development in the communities where it operates. Chairperson, allow me then to hand over to the acting CEO to present the performance of the third and fourth quarter reports for 2024-2025 according to the shareholders' compact targets. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Prof. Over to you, acting CEO.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Let me share the presentation. I'm just experiencing some difficulties here. Okay, Chair, I don't know if you can see my screen from your side.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay. So I will go straight then to the shareholder compact targets. So in terms of our shareholder compact targets, we had 27 measurable KPIs. This is excluding the AG audit, which is still in progress. So 19 of those have been achieved and 18 were not achieved. So we're still busy with the AG audit. So this translates to 70% in terms of our achievement to date. So the targets, the list of targets that are achieved, basically we've got them on one side. The only one that's still outstanding is the AG one. So going back into the details of each target, looking at the liquidity, the one that was not achieved is the current ratio. The reason being, we had low cash reserves as a result of the low profit that was not achieved, mainly because of the missed lumber sales and also the increased spending on contractors, which had to fight the fires. So that was the main cause. This similarly affected our EBITDA margin. So those were the two targets that were not achieved under liquidity. In terms of efficiency, we started on a low note, but we eventually achieved the revenue per employee. So efficiency targets, we've done well there, including solvency. Now, the other target that was negatively impacted by the situation we had with our cash was we had to implement the cash preservation measures and cost containment. So one of the areas then that we had to limit spend was on R&D spend. We normally target 1.5% of our previous year's revenue towards research and development. So this target then was not achieved, but going forward, we'll have to catch up on that one in the next financial year. So as the financial situation improves, we will be catching up on the R&D. On safety, we're proud that we didn't have any fatalities. Initially, we struggled with the disabling injury frequency rate. This was in Q3, but we eventually achieved the target at the end of Q4. This is due to the focused attention and the drive that we had to drive the culture of safety throughout the organization. So that drive has successfully given us good results in terms of the disabling frequency rate. TUP, we achieved the target in South Africa. I think the season, in terms of rainfall and the fact that we had a good window of opportunity to do extensive planting, that target was overachieved. But Mozambique, even though we had done proper planning in terms of land preparation, unfortunately, we experienced drought. As a result, this target was not achieved. I think going forward, we'll look at proper planning again in terms of how can we plan around the data that we have in terms of weather forecast. Although sometimes it's not that accurate, but we'll do our best to plan around the data that we have. Now, Timodola, as already indicated, this is an old sawmill. We are continuously upgrading it on a phased approach. We also face challenges in that area in terms of rainfall. Whenever there's rain, we are not able to supply the logs, but we normally mitigate that by having a wet deck, which we can store a volume which can last up to 2 weeks. So because of the unreliable sawmill, frequent breakdowns, we could not achieve this target. Although going forward, we are looking at the phase upgrade of the sawmill so that we can overcome this challenge. So that also affected then the lumber sales, because if you're processing less logs, then in terms of the lumber product, that also gets affected negatively. We are proud then with the certification that we have, because it, in terms of FSC, that was achieved. So it demonstrates our responsibility to the environment, sustainable forest management, and also addressing the socio-economic development within the areas where we operate. In terms of skills development, we also, this is one area as well that we could not achieve the target of apprenticeship training that we were planning for the year, mainly because of the cost curtailment measures again. But we will, in the next financial year, relook at this as our financial situation is improving. Corporate social investment, also we limited the spend here due to the cash preservation measures that we put in place. However, we did achieve all the preferential procurement targets. Then in terms of anti-corruption, so I'll just move to this last slide. We have achieved eventually the percentage of forensic recommendations which were implemented within the 3-month period. We started on a lower pace because the resources that we had were focusing on certain activities, so we had constrained resources, but we eventually put in place all the resources that were required, and this has been achieved. So the only outstanding target at this point is basically the AG audit, which is currently ongoing. So I will then hand over to the CFO to talk through the financials. If I can allow Mr. Maruma to come through.
Okay, over to you, Mr.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. And on Q4, our year-to-date financial performance, we managed to achieve more than what we did last year on revenue. Although our total revenue, total income was below what we had budgeted for, mainly due to the challenges that we had during the year, the market constraints that we had. In response to that, we managed to reduce our costs below budget by 8%, which was in line to align our revenue to be in line with our expenditure. At the end, the group posted a 30 million profit, which was a significant increase on actuals from prior year where we had attained a loss. From in the prior year where it was a slight decrease from last year where we had achieved a financial profit, which was higher than that. If you can go to the next slide, say. One of the things that we closely monitor from our side is on our cash reserve. And our cash reserve shows that during the year was declining. This was mainly due to the challenges that we had in attaining the revenue that we sought to achieve, and also because we were below our set target of 280 million, which is our buffer that we have set for ourselves to ensure that we don't run short of cash to pay our service providers, and also to self-insure for things like fire, and to also other things, so that we are self-reliant on our own. As you can see in the graph was going down, but there have been significant turnaround, mainly due to the increase in our revenue, and also the increase also in we're bearing fruit in the cash preservation strategies, cost containment strategies that have been put in place, which has resulted in the company improving its cash position. Let's move to the next slide. That will be the last slide. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO. Members, that is the presentation from SAFCOL. I am now going to note hands. Honorable Makasi, followed by Honorable Managa, Honorable Kumalo, followed by Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Temba, and Honorable Bilangul. Over to you, Honorable Makasi. Now, Kumalo, can you mute your gadget again? Thank you. Okay.
Chair, thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. My question, Chair, is that they mentioned timber dollar intake volume target was impacted by the capacity constraints, infrastructure breakdowns, and rainfall impacting on the supply. What measures have they put in place to deal with this? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Honorable Managa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just to build up on what Honorable Makasi has said, one of the entity's strategic mandates is to ensure long-term development of the forestry industry through the management and control of state forests according to commercial principles, whilst also delivering on social economic objectives. Honorable Chair, on timber processing, I just want to take the entity to Albacini timber processing. I want to understand, Chair, what exactly is happening at the Albacini timber processing plant, and when did the operational challenges begin, and what are the current output levels, and how do they compare the annual targets or previous years? How many employees are currently working at that plant, both permanent and seasonal? And what is the current production rate of the plant, and what is the maximum capacity it was built to handle in its inception? So what machinery are they currently using, or what machinery is currently in use at the facilities? And how many machines are operational and how many are non-functional? And what is the estimated cost and timeline required to bring non-operational infrastructure and machinery back to full functionality? Honorable Chair, I just want to conclude by asking this question. Are there plans to upgrade infrastructure to cope with extreme weather patterns such as excessive rainfall, which continue to impact supply chain? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ma. Honorable Kumalo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me also welcome the presentation from SAFCOL. I'm just having one question, Chair. What intervention are you putting in place to address the targets that were not achieved, particularly those relating to decreased sales and revenue? Lastly, Chair, I want just an update on the issue of Mozambique plantation. If I remember very well, in one of the presentation, SAFCOL have said they are intending to sell their plantation in Mozambique or to close down. Can I be reminded what was the issue in relation to that? Because today they are saying they are suffering a loss because of drought. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Makumalo. Mamkwena?
Thank you very much, Chair. I've got only two questions. And then when will the shares in Eastern Cape at Stutterheim and Western Cape at Stellenbosch be transferred? And what are the names of the beneficiaries? And how much has been generated from the sales of logs sold through the bidding process in this financial year? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Temba.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I have only three questions. Number one, can SAFCOL provide us with a data of Mpumalanga contractors? The side of Mpumalanga, can you please provide us with the data of contractors? Second question, it's about the timber theft. How is the current status of the timber theft, more especially in the side of Mpumalanga? I've been visiting Mpumalanga. We want to know what is the current status of timber theft. The other one I was covered by Honorable Mokoena now. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pilankulu.
Thank you, Chair. I've got only one question. Chair, the question is, have you made provision for a mill upgrade so as to improve production as suggested in the presentation? What is the current lifespan of the one that is currently in place? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mapilankulu. From my side, in the previous financial year, SAFCOL did not table the annual report on time due to delays in signing off processes. Have the root causes of the non-compliance been resolved? Thank you. Over to you, Prof. Mr. Dlamini.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I will share some of the questions with the CFO. Let me start with the question from Honorable Makasi. Timber dollar intake and the interventions in terms of the targets that have not been achieved. So with timber dollar, first, it's a very old, outdated plant that has a sawmill. Most of the equipment have exceeded their lifespan. So we do experience frequent breakdowns. And if that happens, what we then tend to do is we order parts, some of them come from overseas, and that delay does affect our production because it takes time to import some of the parts. Secondly, we also experience rainfall in that area. So during that time, then it's difficult to transport logs to the sawmill. So what we've done there as an intervention, we have what we call a wet deck. So we have logs that we store on site, which can keep the operation going for about 2 to 3 weeks. So hopefully then once the rainfall is done, then we are able to provide the feedstock that's required to the sawmill. So the interventions then that we are doing is we are continuously upgrading the mill on a phased approach. We have upgraded right now the finger joint and the planer, which has given us good product quality, resulting in a good average selling price. Going forward, we're going to go to the next phases. As the chair already indicated earlier, we're looking at about plus minus 300 million to upgrade the entire sawmill. We are looking for funding. We do have term sheets that we are busy evaluating. And also, we're going to link it to the combined heat and power plant. So some streams, some waste streams, like the wood shavings, which used to be like waste, will now add value because it will be feedstock to this combined heat and power plant. So then that will improve also then the reliability of the sawmill going forward. We do have the market. We just have to have a reliable sawmill going forward. But also with this combined heat and power, we don't need to upgrade the boilers because this combined heat and power will generate the steam that is required. Then I can move to the other question from Honorable Mananga. In terms of the long-term development of forestry and the socio-economic impact, I wasn't sure of the processing plant you mentioned, Honorable Mananga. I think you said Albacini. I'm not sure. Because we only have one sawmill in South Africa, which is Timber sawmill. So I'm not sure if this one is if I'm correct to say it's Albacini. But if that is the case, it's not our sawmill. The only one we have is Timber sawmill. But I can get clarity on that one. Maybe I'll ask Ms. Mananga Honorable Mananga to clarify that later. Maybe if you can allow me, Chair, to move to Honorable Kumalo. So in terms of interventions to address those targets that were not met, especially which affected the sales. So our revenue is mainly dependent on the sale of logs. So what we've done, one of the challenges we've had with our operations, because again, we have old equipment, we are slowly replacing some of the harvesting equipment so that we can reliably deliver to our customers so that we don't miss those sales. Because if a customer places an order, we should be able to deliver timelessly. I must say to date, we have bought for equipment, which is a harvester and some of the associated equipment that is required to ensure that we can produce reliably. Also, with our auction process, we've now reduced the time it takes us to conclude the contracts. Usually, the auction process will go through a number of cycles before we finalize the sale price for that particular financial year. So that process has been reduced substantially so that by the 1st of April of each financial year, we are able to deliver. That has really yielded us, given us good results, especially that the market at this point is positive. Then on the Mozambique operation, okay, maybe on that one, we have an offer from the partner there, which is the Mozambican government representative. They are offloading their 20%. So the idea is for us to take over that 20% and then evaluate whether we can resell that or sell the business in whole. However, at this point, we are busy with National Treasury and also DFFE so that we get the approval process to look at the long-term business sustainability of Mozambique and see how we can then either offload the business as a whole or still remain as either a minority shareholder. So that work is still in progress. So we have engaged National Treasury, so we are finalizing that go-ahead strategy. So if I can then go to the question from Honorable Mgwena in terms of the shares in the Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape and Western Cape. So we were tasked, because we hold the minority shares on behalf of the communities in MTO, which is in the Western Cape, and in Eastern Cape, Amatole Forestry Company. We have just started that process. We are working closely with the department, DFFE, and also the Department of Rural Development, Agriculture, Land Reform, and Rural Development to identify the rightful beneficiaries for these shares. So once that process has been identified, we will then transfer them in accordance to the prescripts that are in the shareholders agreement for those shares. So that is, this is work in progress at this point. The sale generated from logs, I'll ask the CFO to talk to the figures in terms of the sale for the logs. And then Honorable Temba. Okay, in terms of the data for Mpumalanga, for contractors, we can supply that one. We'll provide a written response in terms of the contractors that we use in Mpumalanga. And timber theft and its current status. Honorable members, I must say this is one of our biggest challenge in the company. The timber theft is very, very problematic, and it's quite rife. What we have been doing is we are putting in place now a security strategy that entails using technology so that we can quickly respond and arrest these criminals. However, we're also working with the law enforcement agencies. We've reported a number of cases to the police in Mpumalanga. I think the challenge we're facing is just to see the prosecution being successful so that we can cap the scourge of timber theft. So we continuously really looking for support from the law enforcement to really bring this matter to an end. But internally, we continue really providing high-tech security. So there is a tender that we'll be putting out, which is technology-based, which hopefully can help us to respond speedily in those areas that are impacted. And then I will go to the question from Honorable Pilapina. Okay. Okay, provision of milk upgrade and its current lifespan. Okay, so in terms of the mill upgrade, as I had already indicated, Timber Dollar, we are continuously upgrading it on a phased approach, and we've made really good progress. We do have a strategic partner for the combined heat and power plant, which should be integrated into Timber Dollar. So good progress is being made in that regard. The current lifespan, as I already indicated, most of the equipment is outdated, really. They've lived way beyond the design lifespan. What we also do on a continuous basis is to then do preventative maintenance so that we can keep the operation safe, although it does affect our productivity in case of a downtime. Then the other question was from the chairperson, Honorable Chairperson. previous financial, in terms of the integrated report that was not submitted on time. Honorable Chairperson, because of the challenges we've had with the system that we implemented, now I'm talking about this past financial year, it took us some time, as already indicated earlier, that we had to bring in interventions to ensure that the system is operational. And at this point, the system is operational. However, we overshot the time when we thought we'll go live. So that has impacted our ability to deliver the financials on time. However, we have communicated with the department and the minister. We are working towards catching up on the timelines. So at this point, the worst case scenario will be September, but we are hoping to claw back on the time that we've put forward. But it's mainly because of the system that we had implemented, which we've successfully overcome all the challenges that we have. I can go back to the question from Honorable Manana. Maybe just to get clarity on the...
Yes, thank you.
Sawmill?
Yes. Yes, thank you so much, Chair. I also shared some photos of what I was referring to. You did say it's not a processing plant, but I just want to find out, do you have a shop there at Albacini that is selling furniture or that was selling furniture or processed timber?
Oh, okay. No, thanks. No, we do not have a shop.
Well, it means it belongs to other department, but I'll find out.
Okay. No,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manana.
Bye.
Yes. If I can then ask through you, Chair, for the CFO to come in terms of the sales from logs. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Man.
CFO?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes. So KLF, SAFCOL generated a total of 240 million in timber sales this financial year, of which 235 million accounted for, which is accounting for 97%, was achieved through competitive bidding process. This reinforces the company's commitment to transparency and to ensure that our sales channel is mainly through the competitive bidding. However, allow for ad hoc sales, which are permitted, which represent a small portion of revenue, and they are mainly targeted at transformation objectives, particularly from emerging and disadvantaged entities, which arise from time to time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Maruma. I see the hand of the board chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to add to the question raised by Honorable Managa that in terms of the broader sector strategy, SAFCOL will be having workshops in the second half of this year towards the end, where the whole sector strategy will then be contextualized in terms of what SAFCOL's contribution will be. So we are not yet there yet, but we are in the process of mapping out how we can support so that we can then see our role in terms of the sector strategy in all the provinces that we find ourselves and also other community-related projects. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Prof. I do not see hands for follow-up questions. But from my side, SAFCOL of CEO, I am not happy with your response with regards to the issue of transfers of community shares. What I'm going to request from your side is timelines, because you do not have any timelines that are set. So you should add timelines on your responses on the transfers of community shares, and also Mozambique operations, appointment of security company. So we can't just say it's work in progress. and not put timelines. People have been waiting for their shares. Some have passed on, waiting for their shares. So please put timelines. And on the issue of the on conductors, please can we also get a written response on the 15th of July? Mr. Tlamin, is it possible?
No, Chair, will definitely that's possible. We do have a database of the contractors.
So you have captured this one that I've raised of timelines as well.
Honorable Chair, yes, I've captured the timelines. We'll definitely look at how we can word it properly such that we have a defined schedule. Thank you.
Okay. No, it's fine then. Honorable Temba, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, can SAFCOL be reliable when they come to this portfolio committee? Because the last time what Honorable Kumalo was asking about the Mozambique plantation, that they need to sell it or move away from it because of due to drought. The last time when they were here, even the CEO, they said they are planning to sell it so that they can focus in South Africa. But now it's like they are not sure what they are doing. They are now like playing hide and seek. They are selling, they are not selling, they are not sure they are doing this. So can they be clear about what they are doing? Please, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Temba. They've heard you loud and clear. Please, Mr. Tlamin, when you are responding on the 15th, please, can you just be clear on the issue of Mozambique as well? As I have already indicated that we need timelines. We can't just operate on the work in progress. We need to finish this and put it aside. Honorable Temba, I think it's an old hand. Honorable Temba.
Yes, Chair. It was an old hand,
It
was an old hand, but I feel like talking before past.
Chair.
No, Chair, I want to ask something, Chair, about the timber theft. Because how long will they take, Chair, to see that we are losing a lot of trees? How long will it take for them to see? Because they're saying they will process some companies to come and run the security. It needs to be something that they take it serious, Chair. This is an emergency. They must run because now we are losing a lot of trees. So that's what is pushing me, Chair, that we need to take this forestry very serious.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Thomas. So we are just emphasizing on what I have raised on the issue of timelines, ne? Appointment of security company as well, because it's what
Yes,
I've
Chair.
already indicated on. Okay, thank you very much. They have captured that, Honorable Temba. Thank you very much, SAFCOL, and let me take this opportunity. I think we're done. This was the last presentation on our
Correct.
agenda.
Yes, Chair. it was.
Okay. Before I close, DM Swartz, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, and would like to thank the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee for all the questions, comments, and also for the constructive criticism. But I just want to say that, Honorable Chair, through you and the Portfolio Committee, I really do think the issue of the security around the forestries would have to really come to the Portfolio Committee together with the DG and the forestry branch itself, because the security of the plantations is not solely on the shoulders of SAFCOL. That the department through the forestry branch, as you know, had a security contract which was then cancelled. And when we arrived here ourselves as the executive, and me having the delegations of forestry, really there is an urgent need, very, very urgent need that we do discuss this with the portfolio committee, because indeed there is no security at the forestries now. But for me, the issue is that having warm bodies like they were having in the previous contract is not also going to assist us. I think that the reason why I'm saying Honorable Chair would need to come so that we have the discussion is so that we give the portfolio committee a full report in terms of what transpired, where we are now, and that I had personally, as the Deputy Minister, having the delegations of forestry and its master plan, said that the officials must go and look for other ways of security, whether it's not even drones, because I've said to them, when you look at drones, these people are so organized, they even shoot down drones now. But we must have another method of how we look after our forests. And I said they must go and look and benchmark and look at what other countries are doing in relation to what we are doing, so that we can then be able to table to say that if we go warm body, this is what is going to cost us. But the way our forests are set up and big, if you have warm bodies, when the security is this side, on the other side, people will be cutting logs and stealing them. But indeed, we must not deny it, Honorable Chair and Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, that there is a lot of theft in the forests right now, especially the government-owned ones. And there are very few private owners in the country. The bulk is government-owned. And like I always say, Honorable Chair, when we come here to the Portfolio Committee, I never want to sugarcoat anything because it's not going to assist us. But that when we do bring things to the Portfolio Committee, when there's zero, the answer must be zero. And that, yes, indeed, there are those forests where SAFCOL is operating, but holistically, SAFCOL is part of us now at the GFFE. So we must look at a holistic approach in terms of security, so that we all put our heads together and have a solution that is going to work for all of us, and that when we all go to bed, everybody will be clear and safe that our forests indeed do have a proper security around them, Honorable Chair. That is the only part I wanted to comment on, Honorable Chair, because you would know you are not a newcomer here in this Portfolio Committee, Honorable Chairperson, that even when we go and on oversight with SAPS, and there are still problems, because even SAPS itself cannot be running around to all the forests when we are calling them. So I'm saying that we need to come back with the branch so that we also give insights to the Portfolio Committee, that what we are thinking through the officials as a branch on how to even involve the communities around where we've got government forests, so that our forests can be safe. But I'm very thankful and grateful to you, Honorable Chair, and the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee for the engagement which we've had, and we are going to improve where we've been given guidance, and where we are expected to still give further information, we'll do so in the stipulated time. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members.
Thank you, DM. Your proposal is noted. It will receive the attention it deserves. Thank you very much for that. Let me take this opportunity, members, and thank you for your valuable inputs, and also to thank the departments or the entities that did their presentations. Thank you very much, and thank the stakeholders that have logged in to listen to our engagements, and also thank the departmental officials that are here, also our portfolio committee officials, our A team that is now added with Mr. Makude. Thank you very much. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Bye, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Bye, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Bye.
Bye.